And the kids, yeah, the kids, we all thought they were this tragic little family. They weren't his. We found the DNA records later.
You had a baby in a house when you were 13 years old and we can't find you. By the way, where's the baby buried? I asked that question to her. And she said what happened after she gave birth was they called her mom and they said that she's got to go. I said, how do you know the baby was dead? You're telling me they moved you into a room and they induced labor after you said, I don't want to give up my child.
If what Candace Owens just hinted at is true, this doesn't just complicate Erica Kirk's story, it completely rewrites it. Because for months, people have been asking one question, quietly but persistently. Was Erica ever actually pregnant? And if she was it really Charlie's? Right now, there are whispers on the streets about alleged DNA proof circulating behind closed doors. And those questions? They're getting louder by the day. But let's start with something basic. In today's world, pregnancy gets documented. Celebrity pregnancies get documented even more. Yet in Erica's case, there is not a single candid photo showing her visibly pregnant, not one public appearance with a bump, not one paparazzi shot, not one unfiltered social media moment. And this is someone whose whole brand is built on being seen. She's filmed herself on stages, on flights, at conferences, even during emotional breakdowns. That's what makes this so hard to look away from, because when Charlie passed, she didn't hesitate to pick up a camera. She filmed herself saying goodbye to her husband's body. She documented raw grief in real time, right in front of everyone. So here's where the story gets messy. Why was pregnancy treated as sacred and private, but loss was public and immediate? If privacy was truly her principle, why did it only seem to apply to one chapter of her life? That's where people started digging deeper. Erica's social media handles are literally Mrs. Erica Kirk.
Hid. Not because I was embarrassed, not because I didn't want anyone. Yes, we did keep it very private, but it's because it was a moment very sacred. I was growing a human inside of me, my baby. The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Her entire online identity is tied to that marriage. So when that ultrasound footage surfaced, viewers noticed something strange straight away. The name on the ultrasound wasn't Erica Kirk. It was her maiden name, Erica Franza. Now, maybe that's just paperwork. Maybe it's timing, maybe it's administrative. But when your whole public identity revolves around being Mrs. Erica Kirk, having your maiden name on something as monumental as an ultrasound feels inconsistent. And there's more. Charlie was absent during that ultrasound visit. Erica's first hospital visit was with her mother, Lori, not her husband. When you stack that on top of the fact that there are 0 visible pregnancy photos, those inconsistencies become impossible to ignore. Small details carry serious weight when there's nothing else to balance them out. Then there's this. Erica could barely remember her wedding anniversary or her kids' birthdays.
Story of the woman who raised Erica Kirk. Her mom, Loretta Francevy.
Yeah, that's Erica Kirk getting an ultrasound. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not that woman has really ever been pregnant. Now, I've been pregnant 5 times. The first was a miscarriage, gave birth to 4. So you bet your ass I zoomed in on that ultrasound screen. And this is a close-up of the screen, which led me to do a deep dive into the stages of pregnancy, which I've done, back in the day when I was pregnant, but it's been a while. It's hard to see a lot of detail in that picture. Based on her stomach size and the size of what we can see, it would be safe to presume this is the viability ultrasound, that they determine if there's a heartbeat, which they can do as early as 6 weeks.
And on Charlie's own podcast, she mentioned that her obstetrician had passed away. Convenient timing on that detail. But here's where it really gets wild. Candace Owens alleged that on the day Charlie was shot, Erica was not where she claimed to be. Erica said she was with her mother, receiving treatment at a hospital. But according to Candace's sources, she was at a hotel suite in Fort Huachuca. Around that same time, Andrew Colbert was working overtime trying to build an alibi for Erica, claiming she had dinner with Charlie the night before. He even pushed forward a photo taken by Erica herself, supposedly showing her with her kids on September 9th at 8:33 a.m. Pacific time, walking them before heading into the office.
And this is what it looks like at 6 weeks, and this is what it looks like at 8 weeks. Wanted to compare that to her picture, but I don't have the technology to zoom in on it. I wasted 2 hours, except I learned that at 9 weeks they hiccup. I didn't know that.
But new revelations flipped that narrative hard. Not only was Erica allegedly away the night before Charlie's passing, she was reportedly with Tracy Martin, a woman she's known for over a decade. Someone who was in her life long before Charlie ever was. That changes the whole emotional picture. If she wasn't with her mother, why say she was? And if she was with Tracy, what exactly is that relationship? Observers have been pointing to years of photos showing serious closeness between the two, shared vacations, family holidays, all of it. Tracy was in a lot of them. And Tracy's daughter, McKenna, was also allegedly Erica's personal assistant. To some, that looks like close friendship. To others, it looks like something much deeper. This is where the speculation really intensifies. The theory that Erica didn't carry her own children but used a surrogate has already left the group chat and hit the streets. But when you tie it to the absent baby bumps, the forgotten birthdays, and all the other inconsistencies, the theory stops being simple. It's no longer just about surrogacy.
We laugh about this because our dates are so messed up because of babies, meaning there's so many dates to remember.
The real question being whispered is whether those children may biologically belong to someone within her close circle. If that were true, it would explain the missing pregnancy photos. It would explain the ultrasound name discrepancy. It would explain why the privacy narrative was so carefully controlled. And it would raise an even bigger question: did Charlie actually know? Or was he living inside a version of reality that everyone around him simply accepted? But just when you think the speculation has hit its peak, one name changes everything: Tyler Bauer. This is where the story stops being vague and gets very specific. Word on the streets is no longer about secrecy or surrogacy. It's now about paternity. Sources are alleging that Tyler Bauer could be the biological father of Erica's children. And if that sounds extreme, just wait until you line up the timing. It has now allegedly been confirmed that the night before Charlie's passing, the marriage was not in a good place.
Because I know we had a birth plan, and the only thing that went to plan on that birth plan was that we had a child.
That's right.
Everything else
We had a great
went out the window.
We had a great OD. May he rest in peace. Terrible
No,
story.
it's so sad.
They were not on good terms. Separation was no longer a distant threat, it was approaching fast. Charlie wasn't wearing his wedding ring, he slept on the couch. She didn't kiss him goodbye that morning. And he left behind a note. Critics are now questioning everything about that note. Some even claim it could have been staged. Why would Erica choose to share Charlie's final letter with the public, knowing fully well it would be picked apart? A letter that reads like a declaration of love, singing Erica's praises and proclaiming Charlie's devotion to her. And then there's the detail that absolutely refuses to sit quietly. Erica was reportedly at a resort when Charlie was shot, not at home, not where she claimed to be. If the marriage was already cracking that night, the question becomes sharper: what exactly did Charlie find out? Because if Tyler introduced Erica to Charlie years ago, and if there were rumors they once had a history together, and if that connection quietly continued in some form, then this stops being random gossip. That's a pattern! If DNA conversations were happening behind closed doors, if paternity was being questioned, if those children were not biologically Charlie's, then this isn't just scandal. That is information that changes the entire motive of this story. Now, to be clear, the alleged DNA report remains hidden.
Seeing Charlie in an elevator, everything about Charlie is adding up. I cannot get a single person to confirm if they saw Erica, who's apparently out and about. I then thought, wouldn't it make sense? She screams in the middle of a parking lot. She screams in the middle of a doctor's office. Everybody kind of knows where they were when Charlie got shot. Okay, if this doctor's office had people in it, there's going to be someone who said, hey, I heard a giant scream at my doctor's office.
But Candace, in her new series Bride of Charlie, has allegedly hinted at holding a move that would shatter Erica's picture-perfect conservative wife image once and for all. Tyler Bauer's name keeps showing up at every stage of this story before Erica and Charlie met, during the marriage, and now in whispers about how it all fell apart. So yeah, people are going to scrutinize it because patterns matter. And right now, whether fairly or unfairly, Tyler Bauer's name keeps showing up at the center of a pattern that flat out refuses to disappear. Let's take a step back and really look at everything that has been laid out. Because when you line it all up side by side, it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like a carefully constructed story with some very serious gaps in it. Think about where this all started. A woman whose entire brand is built on being seen on stages, on flights, at conferences, in front of cameras during her most vulnerable moments, and yet not a single visible pregnancy photo exists. Not one. In an era where celebrities document everything from their morning coffee to their hospital check-ins, the complete absence of something as visible as a baby bump is not a small thing. That is a loud silence. And then there's the ultrasound. When that footage surfaced, viewers didn't miss it.
Where he was to tell his story, but he also had to include the part where he claims that he saw Erica Kirk the night before, also on Fort Huachuca at Candlewood Inn and Suites, okay?
The name on that ultrasound wasn't Erica Kirk, the name she had built her entire public identity around. It was Erica Franza, her maiden name. Now, paperwork mix-ups happen. Administrative delays are real. But when your whole personal brand screams Mrs. Erica Kirk to hundreds of thousands of followers, having your maiden name on one of the most significant medical documents of your life raises an eyebrow. And when you add the fact that Charlie wasn't even present at that visit, that Erica's first hospital appointment was attended by her mother Lori instead, those eyebrows go even higher. Small details matter when there is very little else to work with. And in this case, the small details keep stacking up. Then came the names. Tracy Martin, a woman who has been in Erica's life for over a decade, long before Charlie ever entered the picture. Shared vacations, family holidays, a closeness that goes far beyond what most people would describe as a casual friendship. Tracy's daughter McKenna was even allegedly working as Erica's personal assistant. To some people, that is loyalty and friendship. To others, that is a whole different kind of relationship hiding in plain sight. And now the surrogate theory, which has moved well past whisper territory at this point, is no longer just about whether Erica carried her own children. The conversation on the streets has evolved into something far more specific. The question being asked now is whether those children biologically belong to someone within Erica's close circle. Someone who was there before Charlie. Someone who never really left. If that theory holds any weight, suddenly a lot of things start making sense.
Tracy Martin. Remember, Tracy Martin is Erica's best friend for over 15 years. How close are Erica and Tracy? They've done everything together. Tracy says from Romanian Angels. Erica modeled for her clothing brands.
The missing pregnancy photos, the ultrasound name, the carefully controlled privacy narrative that somehow only applied to pregnancy and not to grief. If Erica could film herself saying goodbye to her husband's body in real time, why was pregnancy the one thing that required total silence? That inconsistency alone deserves a serious conversation. But then Tyler Bauer's name enters the room and everything shifts. This is no longer about rumors floating around in comment sections. Sources are now specifically alleging that Tyler Bauer could be the biological father of Erica's children. And before that gets dismissed as extreme, consider the timeline. Tyler reportedly introduced Erica to Charlie. There are whispers that Tyler and Erica once had their own history together before Charlie was ever in the picture. And allegedly, that connection never fully closed. Now layer that on top of what was reportedly happening inside that marriage in its final days. Charlie was not wearing his wedding ring. He was sleeping on the couch. The goodbye that should have happened that morning didn't, and he left behind a note. A note that critics have described as suspiciously perfect, a letter full of love and praise for Erica that she then chose to share publicly, knowing every single word would be examined under a microscope. Why share it? If privacy was sacred during pregnancy, why was Charlie's most personal and final words to his wife suddenly made available for public consumption? Some critics have gone as far as suggesting the letter's tone doesn't match the state of a marriage that was allegedly falling apart at the seams.
This is shocking that Tracy's daughter is actually Erica's assistant. I'll put an allegedly there because we've got to confirm that information. But the source knows.
A marriage where separation was no longer just a possibility, it was reportedly becoming a plan. And then there's the location detail that keeps resurfacing no matter how many times the narrative tries to move past it. Erica was reportedly at a resort when Charlie was shot, not at home. Not where she originally claimed to be. And if the marriage was already fracturing that night, if there were conversations happening about paternity and DNA behind closed doors, then the question of what Charlie may have discovered becomes unavoidable. Because here is where it gets really heavy. If Tyler Bauer introduced this couple, maintained a presence throughout their marriage, and is now being named in paternity speculation that is not a random detail floating in isolation, that is a thread that connects the beginning, the middle, and the alleged end of this entire story. That is a pattern. And Candace Owens is apparently not done. Her new series, Bride of Charlie, has reportedly been building towards something significant.
I want to see what they did to my husband, and I want to give him a kiss, because I didn't get to give him a kiss this morning.
A move she has hinted could permanently shatter the image Erica has worked so hard to maintain. The picture-perfect conservative wife, the grieving widow, the devoted mother. Candace has allegedly suggested she is holding information that could reframe all of it. Now here is what has to be said clearly and honestly. At this point in time, the alleged DNA report has not been made public. The surrogacy theory has not been confirmed. The paternity claims surrounding Tyler Bauer remain allegations. Nothing presented here has been proven in a court of law or through verified documentation. These are the conversations happening on the streets, the questions being raised publicly, and the patterns that observers are pointing to. But that is exactly why this conversation matters. Because in the absence of clear answers, questions grow. And when someone's public story contains this many gaps, this many contradictions, and this many details that simply do not line up, the public is going to keep asking. That is not unfair. That is just how it works. Why was Erica gone the night before Charlie's shooting? Was she really with Tracy that night, or was Tracy being used as a cover story? What is the true nature of that relationship, and why does it keep appearing at every critical moment in this timeline? What happened to the DNA report that sources claim exists? And if Tyler Bauer's name keeps showing up at every major chapter of this story before the marriage, during the marriage, and now in the alleged unraveling of it, what exactly does that mean? These are not small questions. These are not gossip. These are legitimate gaps in a story that has been presented to the public as settled, as clear, as heartbreaking, but straightforward. And the more people look, the less straightforward it appears. The streets are not going quiet on this one. The names keep coming back. The timeline keeps raising red flags, and the people paying attention are refusing to move on until they get something that actually adds up. So now it is your turn, because at this point, we genuinely want to know what you think. Does the pattern mean something? Do the inconsistencies point to something bigger? Or is this all a case of grief being unfairly picked apart by people looking for something that isn't there? There is no wrong answer here, just honest conversation. Drop everything you are thinking in the comments below. Whether you think Erica has been treated unfairly, or whether you think the questions are completely valid, we want to hear all of it. This comment section is about to be one of the most interesting ones yet, and we are here for every word of it. And if this story had you locked in from the first second, do us a solid, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps more than most people realize, and it lets us know that this kind of deep dive content is exactly what you want to see more of. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you are never the last one to know when something new drops. This story is still developing, and trust us, you do not want to be catching up after the fact when the next piece of this puzzle lands. Share this with someone who has been following the Erica Kirk story, someone who has questions, someone who loves a timeline that just does not sit right. Get the conversation going outside of this channel, because the more people are talking, the harder it becomes for gaps in the story to stay hidden. And when you are ready, the next video is already waiting for you. Because if you thought this one was a lot to take in, just wait until you see what comes next. Things get even messier from here, and we are not slowing down anytime soon. See you in the next one!